Today, we got Odin the Allfather going up against Odin's father, Bor. Who comes out on top? Let's find out. Odin is the Allfather Norse gods and the ruler of Asgard. He's the son of Bor, brother of Villa and Ve, husband of Frigga, and the father of Thor, Vidar, Balder, adopted father of Loki. Odin is the wisest and by far the most powerful Asgardian gods. While not omnipotent, Odin is a vastly powerful being who's been alive for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. Even though Odin is one of the oldest Asgardians, he's shown to lift over 90 tons, while the average male Asgardian can lift 30 tons. And he can even lift heavier objects thanks to his powers, not just his natural strength. Odin was able to battle for 40 days and 40 nights without tiring, and his reflexes even rival Thor. He's also highly resistant to nearly all forms of attacks. He's been shown to not be affected by Silver Surfer's attacks, and isn't phased by energy blasts from cosmic level entities. Odin is usually never seen without his scepter, and always has two powerful weapons that he can call upon in dire situations: his indestructible enchanted spear Gungnir, and his powerful mace Thrudstuck. However, Odin doesn't usually need to resort to physical confrontations, and that's because he possesses the Odin Force. This lets him manipulate vast cosmic energy, and it's granted him the ability to do tons of different stuff, like reading minds from across the dimensions, creating force fields that are essentially impossible to get through, altering his size, and projecting force blasts that are powerful enough to one-shot the Silver Surfer. He will teleport himself and others anywhere he desires. And one time he even teleported all of Asgard to New York City just to prove that he could do it. He's capable of manipulating all forms of energy. That includes mystical energies as well, and can stop time, reverse time, or create time bubbles that are immune from outside interference. Odin can transmute elements, create new worlds out of nothing, rekindle dying stars, and he's even repaired damage done to the universe before. Odin is also one of the few that have been able to knock Galactus unconscious, and he is the one who created the Destroyer armor, which is battle against Celestials. So, let's look at one corner, the mighty, the powerful Odin. But, entering the ring, in the corner, his dad, Bor. Father of Odin, Bor was the second ruler of Asgard, son and successor of his father Bori, the first king of Asgard. He led his people faithfully, though his demise at the hands of a time-traveling incarnation of Loki. He was recently resurrected and corrupted by Loki as part of a plot to get Thor exiled from Asgard forever. His plan was successful, and Thor was exiled after he killed Bor without knowing who he was fighting with. Bor could wield tremendous amounts of magical power, rivaling the power of Odin, the Odin Force. He's able to fire energy beam attacks through his eyes, can control the elements. He can cause large environmental disasters just by thinking. In a fight with Thor, he summoned forces powerful enough to destroy the earth. He is also able to cast every suffering, every pain, and every curse upon the human race that he could think of when Odin created people on Midgard. Being a Skyfather, Bor is also ridiculously strong and durable. He would have killed Thor with a single hit if it wasn't for the Odin Force protecting him, and the blow that finally killed him ended up shattering Mjolnir as well. That just showcases how strong and how tough the big guy is. Also, Ben Silly taught Odin how to fight, think, rule, and serve. He can sense and track Odin anywhere within the 9 realms. It's actually the one responsible for planting the seed that will grow into the world tree. However, there is one catch. While Bor doesn't have any noticeable weaknesses, he does have a large personality flaw, being extremely prideful and arrogant. This could be because he's a Skyfather, but Bor doesn't think that anybody is strong enough to match him. He didn't care for his own safety either, as he thought nobody could touch him. This arrogance has actually led to his downfall on a couple of occasions. I believe that frost giants could just cast weak magic, and was shocked and actually taken out when Loki hit him with a powerful spell. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, Bor has been highly requested to show up in the battle arena for a long time now. I can never really land on a good matchup for him. Thought about putting him up against Galactus, thought about Darkseid, thought about Thanos. But I finally landed on pitting father against son. Skyfather against Skyfather. Bor versus Odin. So who comes out on top here? That's what we're going to figure out. Now, when we're operating people on this power level, well, they can essentially do just about anything. I mean, Bor planted the world tree, and Odin is shaking the very fabric of the multiverse with his fights. That's the kind of power level that we're talking about here. We're talking about people on that power level. Well, the only real question we need to answer is who is more powerful? So, who is more powerful? Well, like we said, they both done some truly incredible things. After Odin breathed life into man when he was younger, Bor was furious, and so he cast upon mankind every suffering, every pain, every curse within his power. That's saying a whole lot. Also shown they can curse fellow Asgardians, like when he curses the Zir, his personal shield maidens, making them unable to enter either Asgard or Hell, as well as subjecting them to an eternity of hunger for Asgardian flesh. Then later was able to undo this curse they had placed upon the Dazir. Bor has also shown some absolutely incredible strength and durability. Is able to cause Odin force Thor to cry out with pain and nearly black out, as well as display enough power that Thor thought he was going to destroy the earth itself. Thor also said that if it wasn't for the Odin force, he would have been killed in that fight, actually been dead after the first blow. And even though Bor was killed by Thor by the end of the fight, this was Thor with the Odin force on his side. So essentially the combined force of Odin and Thor. You also gotta remember this whole fight was orchestrated by Loki. And that kind of throws a wrench into things. It wasn't necessarily a straightforward fight. It was necessarily a clean fight, as Bor just got out of being trapped in ice for thousands of years, and it's probable that Bor wasn't at full strength for the fight. Loki also wanted Bor to lose, and for Thor to kill him, since Thor will be exiled from Asgard for killing the king of Asgard. And Loki has been known to stack the deck in his favor if he can get away with it. However, based upon actual feats, well, Odin has proven himself to be much, much more powerful. This is just going off of pure feats. He's able to fight against a cosmic sentient superstorm, the size of a galaxy, for days on end, and actually won the fight. He's fought against Seth, and shattered galaxies and shook the very fabric of the multiverse. And Odin has also fought against and defeated Infinity, crumbling entire galaxies in the process. And Odin was actually weakened in that last fight, seeing as how Infinity was created using half of Odin's soul. His fight with Surtur shook the 9 realms. Surtur's internal flame was burning across the 9 realms, essentially going to burn through the entire multiverse. But Odin had no problem containing that flame, and he also ripped out the 10th realm from the World Tree and hid it from the others. And just to make all this so much more impressive, it's been said that each of the realms, each of the worlds on the World Tree, are actually fully complete and distinct universes. So Odin is clearly a universal level being. It's kind of hard to argue against that. On the other hand, there's overseen power-wise from Bor, this when Thor thought it was going to potentially destroy the Earth. Nearly destroying the Earth versus actually destroying galaxies, clearly the two aren't comparable at all. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this fight is over, because it's kind of unfair to just go off of defeats, simply because Odin has had so many more appearances than Bor, so clearly he's going to have a whole lot more feats too. But in order to get a firm hold and final decision on this fight, we'll have to look at implied power as well. I think the crux of this video kind of hinges on the Odin Force. Did the Odin Force actually originate with Odin? Before Odin came into the picture, was it the Bor Force? And after Odin is long dead and gone, living up in Valhalla, it will be the Thor Force. Well, it has been said by some that Bor is a force surpassing the Odin Force. This hasn't been proven or even shown. And yeah, the Odin Force did originate with Odin, seeing as the Odin Force was technically formed when Odin and his 2 brothers Vila and Ve went to try and take down Surtur. They battled against Surtur, managed to break Surtur's sword, and even cut down the flame of destruction so that Surtur couldn't reforge it. However, the 2 brothers chose to stay behind to prevent Surtur from following them back to Asgard. In one final act, they combined their power with Odin, granting him the Odin Force. And this Odin Force is what puts him on a higher power level than his father Bor. And just because Bor is Odin's dad, doesn't necessarily mean that he has to be more powerful. That's actually not how anything works in Marvel Comics, even among Asgardians. Franklin Richards is more powerful than Reed Richards, Legion more powerful than Professor X, Hela is more powerful than Loki, and even Thor will become more powerful than Odin when he becomes King Thor. So Odin can totally be more powerful than Bor, even though he's Bor's son, and to say otherwise is kinda a bad argument. Bor is also proven to be somewhat susceptible to the Odin Force before. He inside of Odin Force Thor, he died. And yet, we've already been over elements of this fight and shown that odds are Bor wasn't at full potential, but this can kind of be countered by the fact that it was Thor wielding the Odin Force, not Odin himself. Thor was still relatively new with the power, was still trying to figure it out, and even throughout this whole run with the Odin Force, he never showed anywhere near the power level of Odin, nowhere near being able to destroy galaxies and shake the multiverse. So Bor was weaker in his fight with Thor, while Odin is still more powerful than Thor, so that balances out. I also think that Bor could bring about his own destruction because of his pride and his arrogance. He assumes that no one is more powerful than him. He assumes that no one is going to hurt him, and he's definitely going to assume that he's not losing a fight to his son. And this arrogance has actually cost him before, because when he assumed that frost giants could just cast weak magic, he wasn't prepared for a time-traveling Loki to cast powerful magic and trap him in a snow cone for thousands of years. So, end of the day, Odin is definitely more powerful based upon the shown feats. And he should be more powerful based upon implied power too. Bor might be tough, but Odin is tougher, and he's taking down Dad. Odin wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sound off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to like button, subscribe button, turn on notifications, join the DanCo army, and I will see you next time.